Hi, it's Bartek Śliwa here. We are in the conference called Technology Leaders of Tomorrow, and with me today is our first guest, Jeffrey Shupack. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, it's so wonderful to be here.
Yeah, I was curious whether you came here just for this conference or it's a longer staying.
It's a mix of both, just the conference for sure, but also just seeing the area. It's been lovely. What wonderful weather, too. I brought our California weather with us.
Hopefully, yeah. You're advisor, speaker, writer, company owner. Can you give us a short summary of your business journey?
Sure. So Project and Team focuses really on the Fortune 100 and helping them do software and hardware integration.
Okay.
In this era of AI that we're all trying to manage our way through, it's very complex and very charged. And so we help them take a more strategic approach to it. So usually focusing on companies that are very regulated. So think aerospace, energy, medical device, organizations that just can't, because they want to do everything. They have to be a little bit more strategic about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's nice. You mentioned space sector as well, and I think it's quite modern topic right now because SpaceX just entered stock exchange.
This is true. Yes, quite the evaluation.
Yeah. Can you observe the rise in people being interested in the space industry?
Yeah, I think there's two things. I mean, I think just the excitement of space is always just interesting. I mean, it's fascinated, I think, a lot of people since their youth. The real interesting thing about SpaceX and how they're dealing with change is the whole concept of their factory is their product. SpaceX doesn't look at their individual rockets as their product. As we've all seen several times, the majority of their rockets tend to, well, now they're actually working successfully, but many exploded on launch. And the intent was to change with each product. So the factory itself lends itself to adapt based off the learning. So SpaceX and even Elon's Tesla have really taken the rapid learning, which is really what our other organizations these days need to do, and they've turned it into a product. And so as these rockets get made, they want to learn from each additional one. They don't want to keep making the same product. Same thing with Tesla. Yeah, and so I think that's the excitement.
So space industry is the one very popular sector, and the other one is, of course, AI. And you will have a fireside chat, and the topic of it is leadership for the AI era.
Yes.
So you wanted to tackle the case of what distinguishes organizations that treat AI as a capability versus those that still treat it as isolated use case. So can you please elaborate more on that?
Sure. I think the majority probably treat it as isolated use cases. We can see the challenge a lot of these organizations are having in receiving ROI, return on investment, based on the various pilots they're putting out. MIT did an article, the number is kind of debated, but like 95% are not seeing success. So I think a great easy question to ask in an organization is who owns AI? If the answer is a person or a lab, it's a use case. If the answer is it's just the way we work, then it's a capability. And I think what delineates the use case shop from a capability org is if you have a portfolio of pilots, they have their own champion, their own named person. It's not very unified. They have their own business case, their own ROI deck, their own data hack. And success is the demo worked. If you look at a capability shop, the plumbing, the infrastructure has been built so they can keep running it out like the SpaceX can with its factory. It's almost become this learning product. They're not themselves in this pilot purgatory position because they have this plumbing. They have the governance, which is a big deal. They have the data. They have autonomy built into it. It's a large philosophical difference on how they're dealing with AI. Bolt on versus we're going to let this be our core product.
And do you have any hint for organizations what they should change in the way they operate to treat the AI as they're supposed to treat it?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that's come out of AI is what used to be very expensive was coming up and brainstorming options and alternatives and all that execution that goes into just understanding or solutioning. And AI has made that nearly free. I can reach out to any frontier model and ask it a question, and it will give me 20 responses immediately. So it's inverted the question. Now the bottleneck is decision making, which is totally different from how it used to be. And so what you should consider doing is saying, I need to measure decision latency. It's no longer give me the options up front. It's how long does it take between me receiving the need to make a decision and making a decision. And that's inherently a human problem. That's not an AI problem. It has to account for your ethics, your values, your purpose, what do we want to build, what do we not want to build. And how do I alleviate that new bottleneck that's shifted further down the development pipeline? What data do I need to give our leaders so they can make these decisions? What sort of governance do we need? So there's a shift in how we think about flow now.
I'm trying to catch this shift because I'm thinking that it's still a human thing that we are not good at making decisions, especially on the higher levels. So where is this shift? It's about the variety of decisions that, or the options that AI gives us, or what?
I think we're just as bad as we've ever been. I don't think it's necessarily that we need to make more decisions. I just think that the bottleneck is now on the decisioning. And so all the challenges we've had in large organizations that want steering committees, that have calendars full of meetings, if you say, where is the average decision in an organization, the chances are it's stalled. It's sitting in a queue somewhere. What's happened is everything upstream has been automated. So now that's the bottleneck. So all the difficulty we've had in decision making it's still there. It hasn't alleviated, but now the light's on it, and that's where we need to focus on. And inherently, that is a human call. It's just as if AI made a call, and the call was a bad call. It led to some sort of a life safety incident. In that scenario, it's going to be the human that is going to take the accountability. It won't ever be the LLM model taking accountability. It's going to be the human piece. So that judgment and decision-making, I think, is where we will have to spend more and more time and come up with appropriate decision frameworks for this.
Okay, so if I understood you correctly, it's still more about our processes than about the AI itself.
Yeah, I think it's a mix of both. I think we do want to continue to automate and speed up execution. But if everybody's running the same LLM, the same frontier models, and the cost for tokens is what, 30 cents for 1 million tokens? I mean, it's dropped. And the cost of execution has dropped. I can't compete in the AI model space. I can't compete in the solutioning space, and I can't be competitive, differentiated in execution. So the only spot that I can be competitive now is in the decision making, in choosing where do we compete, where do we not want to compete. What's uniquely human is the decisions to say, if you ask AI to optimize, it's not going to stop. We can say, instead of optimizing here, I want you to optimize there. It's proper double loop learning. It's questioning, is the KPI you're trying to hit, is the metric you're trying to hit even the right metric? Where AI is only going to try to hit the metric. And so it's a larger strategic piece that I think we will have to be in to be competitive in all this disruption.
I agree. I got a thesis that people are still not used to the fact that the cost of technology is much lower than it used to be. And we simply should make use of this cheap technology right now. Because before when we wanted to develop a system or a feature or a piece of functionality, it took months or weeks. Right now, we can prompt the AI, have the first version in a couple of minutes, and decide whether it's good or not. And I think that people are still not aligned with this process and with the capability of just throwing ideas to the bin after testing them. Because as I said before, we had to wait for weeks for seeing the results. Right now, in the same time, we can test dozens of possibilities. And do you have any hint for decision makers how they can leverage this capability, how to support them into throwing these ideas to rubbish when they simply don't bring the value for the companies?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things here. Stanford University just released their human-centered AI 2026. What's the state of AI look like? And several of the key takeaways were very fascinating. The first thing is your top models are all within 3% of each other. That includes open source, that includes China versus US models. Everything's within 3%. And so what I think the biggest thing to realize here with technology is you're not going to out-tech another company. So that's a big realization. You're not going to win on technology itself. The cost has dropped. The models all within 3%. 60%, 66% of these models are running successful agentic use cases, which means they're not just coming up with the ideas, they're running it all the way through pilot themselves, right? And it's not just in software, it's all over the board. It's computer usage, task usage. And so I think the very first thing to really realize with this is the gap there is narrowing. There's no moat. It may be your data set, but there's no moat here. So the only question you can really ask for competitive differentiation is, what should we be doing? Not how do I get better at what I am doing? And that fundamentally is the difference. And that's a question I think leaders have always had to own, but now it's what's going to delineate somebody's competitive advantage from another.
All right, yeah. Just to leave our listeners and watchers with some real life examples, can you give us a success story and a story of failure in the era of AI, in the leadership in the era of AI?
Yeah, I think where we're seeing those that are actually successful are those that are really embracing agile ways of working.
So agile is not dead.
Agile is not dead, far from it. If we take Taylorism, which was the traditional project management, and the idea of optimization and efficiency and it's how we used to do development, right? And we said, what were we optimizing there? We were optimizing things that were already known. That was the intent of really lean, right? Agile came about to allow us to optimize for the things that we didn't know. And it allowed us to ask the question, what unknowns are out there before I even think about optimizing the knowns? And you need both. You need to optimize the efficiencies for sure, but it's that second question. What's unknown that I need to understand before I then start solutioning this? And you've seen this through design thinking, the problem space, the solution space, all these different methodologies that come together around this question. And I think that's really it. That's going to say, what company has the courage? And, a world, I'm borrowing from an Apple keynote way back when. What company has the courage to start questioning what it thinks the knowns are? And that's where they're going to get ahead. It won't be in the efficiency gains.
All right. Can you share any success story from your work life?
Yeah, I think I'll give an example that isn't a personal success story, but it's one that we often cite. And it will be really, I want to take a look at how Tesla does a lot of their manufacturing. It's pretty phenomenal. This is a highly regulated industry. Cars historically were developed on a yearly release cadence. And they really shifted that in the States and globally also, where they have every car coming off the line individually road certified. Because they're able to make the batches so small, they were able to do this rapid experimentation. They no longer looked at the individual products, the Model S, the Model X, the Model Y, the Model 3, as the product. Instead, they said the factory floor is the product. And this is alluding back to the example we were just giving with SpaceX. And so since we're certifying every car off the line, we can start doing a lot of feedback from the product, right? This is just agile development, but it's agile development applied to hardware. We're going to get to the AI in a second. And so when your car comes off the line separately from my car, and your car has a problem, Tesla can tell from the callback to the servers that the adhesive, the glue that was used in your window was faulty. Within a 4-hour hardware sprint, they can change that in production for every other car coming off the line.
That's impressive.
It's impressive. And you say, well, where's AI fit into that? they can automate all this with AI. They can start doing the modeling. They can start doing the simming. But this is a 4-hour sprint in hardware. We're struggling doing 4-hour sprints in the majority of my software development customers, let alone in hardware. And so you say, where can we get inventive? It's going back to that second question. Question what we thought were knowns. Well, the known was we do yearly model releases.
Yeah.
That was the known. And they said, why? Why are we doing yearly model? What would have to shift for us, for our government partners, for us to get into every car off the line? And by asking that second question, that double loop learning, massive changes. For quite a while, several companies couldn't keep up. And those that are finally keeping up have copied the same answer to the question. So that's the game, is asking that second in the loop question.
All right. Yeah. Nice story. Thank you. Jeff, just to free you up for the rest of the conference, at the end of every podcast, I ask the same question to our guests. Leaving the AI behind, or maybe not, we'll see. What recently inspired you in your life?
Oh my goodness, what inspired me?
Yeah.
So many things. I think just being at this conference here, there's so much excitement. I think it's very easy to look at this doom and gloom of AI and some of these jobs. And when you see this many people excited about it and leaning into it, you realize it's just another technological revolution. And it's by sharing these stories and these conversations here. It's that buzz, it's that energy that's just inspiring. And it's very interesting as a non-native Polish speaker, because I can only feel the conversation as I'm sitting there having a coffee, opposed to maybe understand the language. And you can feel the buzz of it. Okay. And I don't know, it's been such a unique and fun perspective because I don't really know what the actual sidebar conversations are, but it's very encouraging, and I like that spark. And it'll be through conversations like this that's very inspiring for me. It makes me love what I do.
All right. Nice. Thank you very much for the conversation.
Oh, it was so lovely. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.